Good evening and welcome to Leeds Metropolitan News. I'm Gwyn Parry.
And I'm Charlie Baker. The headlines this evening.
Fears over low voting turnout at this year's European parliamentary elections.
A campaign takes place for an investigation into the Battle of Orgreave.
And a local cricket club that's surviving against the odds.
First tonight, the European parliamentary elections are taking place this month. Recent polls show there isn't much interest from voters around Europe and here in the UK. Less than 5 million people have voted in the last two elections. Nasir Adris went around Leeds to see if anybody would vote this time around.
I know who our current MEP is.
It says, I totally agree with how the EU budget is being spent.
The last European law that was passed was amazing. Was it?
No.
No?
Don't have a clue.
No, I just don't vote, full stop.
I've never voted in my life.
I don't know everything about the EU, Graham.
I will vote in the upcoming European elections.
We will vote.
Yeah.
The European Parliament is the only directly elected body of the European Union. 751 MEPs will be elected next month by voters from the 28 member states. But why are these guys important? For one, they monitor and pass judgment on how the EU's annual budget is spent. 45% of last year's colossal budget was spent on cohesion and competitiveness for growth and employment, whatever that means. They also debate and pass European law, the latest law to pass protecting net neutrality. Here are Yorkshire and Humber's current representatives in Europe. Our next reps will depend on the election results. I asked current MEP Syed Kamal about his views on voters' apathy.
I think partly apathy comes about because people feel that they can't change anything, and sometimes some politics feels remote. Well, if you don't vote, then you can't change things, and often people say, oh, I'm fed up of things, and they just sit back and do nothing about it. If you really want to make a difference, your vote really does count.
People generally feel in this country a bit dislocated from Europe. We're an island nation, and people quite sceptical about the European Union, perhaps influenced by the relentless anti-EU coverage. But most of the time people think European Parliament, don't know what it does, has no relevance to me, it's another election, so I won't bother voting.
So whether you vote or not, elections will take place on the 22nd of May. Nasir Adris reporting.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of the Battle of Orgreave, where Margaret Thatcher's policies resulted in the miners' strike and protest. But was the security on that day as innocent as they claim? James Keithley reports on the latest campaign and attempts to open up an investigation into police brutality against the protesting miners.
It's 30 years since the miners' strike, there's marches everywhere and people are organising events. We also need to consider how that fits into the wider austerity movement as well. How do we get the people from these communities to say the fight that we fought in the 80s is not over? It's the same fight that we're fighting today.
The Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign is made up of former NUM members and people who were affected by the miners' strikes. The campaign questions the conduct of the police and the official version of events that took place in the summer of 1984 at the Orgreave coking plant.
I was in a meeting in the South Yorkshire village called Treaton the night before one of the big pickets at Orgreave, and there'd been 200 Welsh miners in Orgreave miners, in Treaton miners' welfare the night before, because all of a sudden they'd been allowed to travel from South Wales when they couldn't get in and out of the villages for 3 months to get to Orgreave, and it was almost as if, come this way boys, come this way if you want to get to Orgreave, park down at the bottom.
If they find sufficient evidence, they pass it on to the Crown Prosecution Service, who then assess it to see if it'll stand up in a court of law. So that would only apply to the police. We're looking not only at the police, but at the politics of the time, of the Tory government of the time. And if the Labour Party got into power next year and said that they were going to launch a full public inquiry, we would want that to encompass the government of the day and the police as well.
Drunks and fare dodgers are only two of the problems that face taxi drivers, so they have to be more vigilant than your average bus driver. Holly Hill gets perspective from behind the wheel of one of your local cabbies.
Taxis in Leeds are having a nightmare using the drop-off point and shore-stay car park at Leeds City Station. Some taxi drivers told us they're waiting up to 30 minutes to get to the station in rush hour. When £17 million of funding was granted to the station, drivers were left wondering why the drop-off point wasn't being refurbished. The money is planned to be spent on pedestrian access to the station, platform footbridges, CCTV and ticket machines. This Leeds taxi driver uses the drop-off point regularly.
The one at the back definitely, because it does get congested, especially at peak times, whether it be in the morning or the afternoon. Especially in the evening time, it gets gridlocked all down City Square and Air Street, Whitehall Road.
The verdict amongst drivers is that something needs to be done.
Now it's time to get your dancing shoes ready for an event in Leeds City Centre.
That's right, a mass dance titled The Heart of Leeds, funded by Leeds City Council, took place on Millennium Square, directed and choreographed by Gary Cooper Clark and poet Michelle Clark. Dancers were seen throughout the city giving messages of love to promote a healthy heart and bring positivity back into Leeds community.
Now for the roundup of today's sports stories, over to Scott Anderson.
Thanks, Charlie. Manchester City have been crowned Premier League champions. In a dramatic final day of the season yesterday afternoon, it was joy for City and heartbreak for Liverpool. Manuel Pellegrini's side went into the game at the Etihad Stadium, knowing a point against West Ham would guarantee them the title, regardless of Liverpool's result over Newcastle. French midfielder Samir Nasri opened the scoring for City with a stunning long-range strike, and captain Vincent Kompany sealed a 2-0 win in the second half. Liverpool, however, appeared to feel the final day nerves over at Anfield. A frustrating start for the Reds was made even worse in the 20th minute when Martin Skrtel converted the ball into his own net. Two quick-fire goals by Daniel Agger and Danny Sturridge in the second half then saw Liverpool take control of the match. The 2-1 win was not enough for the Reds, but they will enjoy the prospect of Champions League football next season after a 5-year absence from the elite European competition. Now to Formula 1, where Lewis Hamilton has taken the World Championship lead for the first time from Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg, who closely fought victory in the Spanish Grand Prix. Hamilton leads Rosberg by 3 points and a fourth win in a row, finally made up for ground he lost by retiring from the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. Also, club cricket may have been in decline in England over the last few years, but one Leeds-based side has come from relative obscurity to not just survive, but flourish.
One of the most famous places in cricket history. Home of Yorkshire Cricket Club, this iconic ground has seen a lot, from legends of the game to bright young talent. But now there is a new boy on the scene, looking to enhance the name in club cricket. Headingley CC were formed in 2009 after nearly 40 years as a friendly side named Yorkshire Post CC, and since then the club has risen quickly through the ranks. I spoke to club chairman Mark Stelfox about the origins of Headingley CC.
Well, I joined the club in about 2005-2006. The club was really struggling, to be honest. We moved into the World League Cricket in 2009. All of a sudden we were under a bit more pressure to have income coming into the club. And then it dawned on us, we're in Headingley, possibly one of the most iconic cricket suburbs or cricket names in world cricket, and there isn't a Headingley cricket team. Yeah. Which we then kind of thought, well, there's a bit of an opportunity from a number of angles there, so we did the deal and we changed our name to Cricket Club. We're acutely aware of the kind of the power of the Headingley brand in the broader sense. We've realised that helps us marketing the club in a number of ways in terms of attracting new players. It's also something to kind of get the it's a nice name, nice brand for sponsors to be associated with.
With a membership of over 130 players and 7 teams now fielded per week, I asked how the club has risen from a few friendlies a year to the thriving club they are today in just 4 seasons.
We've tried to innovate a little bit. We've realised we're kind of coming from being one struggling side not many years ago. So we've worked hard with the social media. Northlands Life magazine involved with us, Leeds Student Radio involved with us, and obviously now there's Northland associated with Cricket World magazine and website. So hopefully that's going to take it to a new level. We're trying to achieve a number of things, some of them local, but broader picture as well. We want people to be interested in our club wherever they are.
With membership numbers doubling every year and new partnerships being formed with worldwide online mediums, it seems the reputation of Headingley is again on the rise.
Thanks, Scott. Well, that's all from us today.
Yes, but tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with the latest news and sport from across the region.
Thanks for watching and good night.